The crystalline corridors of the Zatharian royal palace echoed with another scream. Not the cub's scream this time, but the nanny's. "I quit!" The Valkyrian female stormed past Arya's maintenance station, her 6 arms trembling, her faceplates flushed deep purple. "That child is a demon, an absolute nightmare. The queen can find someone else to deal with that little monster." Arya looked up from where he was polishing the bioluminescent floor panels, a slight smile tugging at his lips. That made 15 nannies in exactly 2 months. He'd been keeping count on the small datapad he used for work orders. The human janitor had been working at the palace for almost a year now, one of the few humans employed in the Zatharian capital after Earth had joined the Galactic Coalition. It was simple work, honest work, and it paid enough to send money back to his sister raising his daughter on Earth. The palace was beautiful, the aliens generally respectful, and Arya had learned to appreciate the quiet dignity of pushing a mop through halls that had seen 1,000 years of history. But lately the quiet had been shattered. Princess Lumi, the queen's only cub, had become the terror of the royal household. After the sudden death of the queen's mate 6 months ago, the young Zatharian had transformed from a sweet, curious child into something the palace staff whispered about in shadowed alcoves. She bit. She screamed. She destroyed priceless artifacts. She refused to eat, sleep, or cooperate with anyone. The queen herself, matriarch Zelara, had grown gaunt and hollow-eyed, governing an empire while watching her daughter spiral into grief-fueled chaos. Arya had seen her late at night sometimes, standing alone in the observation deck, staring out at the 3 moons as if searching for answers in their silver light. Today, as Arya cleaned up the wreckage of what appeared to be an entire tea service hurled against a wall, he heard it. The sound that had become all too familiar, a cub's desperate, heartbroken wailing. He followed the sound. The royal nursery was in disarray. Cushions torn apart, learning tablets smashed, walls covered in what looked like paint or food or both. And in the center of it all, a small figure with iridescent blue fur and large golden eyes sat trembling, tears streaming down her face. Lumi. She was maybe 4 in human years, though Zatharians aged differently. Her tiny claws had shredded one of the expensive Valkyrian tapestries, and she clutched a torn piece of fabric in her small hands, sobbing so hard her whole body shook. Arya knew he wasn't supposed to be here. Janitorial staff had strict boundaries. But something in that cry, that absolutely broken sound, bypassed every protocol in his brain and went straight to his heart. He'd heard that sound before. From his own daughter, 3 years ago, when he told her that mommy wasn't coming home. Arya set down his cleaning supplies and walked slowly into the room. "Hey there, little one," he said softly in Galactic Common, crouching down to her level but keeping his distance. Lumi's head snapped up, her golden eyes wide with surprise and fear. She bared her tiny fangs, a warning hiss escaping her throat. "I know," Arya said gently. "You're scared. You're angry. The whole world feels wrong, doesn't it?" The cub's hissing faltered. She stared at him, this strange bipedal creature with no fur, no claws, no proper fangs. "When my mate died," Arya continued, settling himself cross-legged on the floor, "my little girl did the same thing. She'd break things, scream, push everyone away. You know why?" Lumi didn't answer, but she wasn't hissing anymore. Her small chest heaved with hiccuping breaths. "Because breaking things on the outside felt better than feeling broken on the inside," Arya said. "And pushing people away meant they couldn't leave you like your papa left." The fabric in Lumi's claws fell to the floor. Her golden eyes welled with fresh tears. "But here's what I learned," Arya said, pulling a small cloth from his pocket and holding it out to her. "Your papa didn't want to leave, and he wouldn't want you to be alone. That's what love means. It stays even when the person can't." For a long moment, Lumi just stared at him. Then slowly, tentatively, she crept forward. Her small clawed hand reached out and took the cloth. She pressed it to her face, and fresh sobs racked her small frame. Arya opened his arms, a question, not a demand. Lumi launched herself into them, burying her face against his shoulder, her claws gripping his work uniform as she cried. And Arya held her, this tiny alien child who was really no different from his own daughter, and let her grieve. That's how the queen found them 20 minutes later. Matriarch Zelara stood in the doorway of the nursery, her regal bearing momentarily forgotten as she stared at the scene before her. Her daughter, her impossible, heartbroken daughter, was curled up in the arms of the human janitor, sleeping peacefully, for what looked like the first time in weeks. The queen began, her translator struggling with the emotion in her voice. How did you? Arya looked up, carefully adjusting his hold on the sleeping cub. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I know I shouldn't have. No, Zalara interrupted, moving into the room. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. No, please, tell me, what did you do? I understood, Arya said simply. I lost my mate too, and I watched my daughter go through the same thing. Sometimes grief doesn't need a nanny or a teacher. Sometimes it just needs someone who's been there. The queen knelt beside them, gently stroking her daughter's fur. 15 nannies, she whispered. The finest caregivers in the galaxy. And a human janitor succeeds in 20 minutes. With respect, Your Majesty, Arya said. They were trying to fix her. She doesn't need fixing. She needs someone to sit with her in the broken places until she's ready to heal. Zalara was quiet for a long time. Then she raised her eyes to meet his. Could you stay? Not as janitorial staff. As Lumi's caretaker. What's the human word? Guardian, Arya said softly, looking down at the sleeping cub in his arms. He'd thought of his own daughter, thousands of light years away. He'd left Earth to give her a better life. Maybe this was how. Yes, Your Majesty. I'll stay. And as 3 moons rose over the Zatharian capital, painting the palace in silver light, a human single father began the hardest and most important job he'd ever had, helping a little girl remember that love doesn't end when someone dies. It just changes shape,